What's going on, everybody? It's FREEDO here for your Overwatch. With the rise of Junkrat being as effective as he is, choke spam has been on the rise, and I want to talk about how to go about defeating it here today. First and foremost, important to note that D.Va is going to be reworked, but I still think she's going to fit into this playstyle, even maybe more so into the one that I'm developing here, and it's an unintuitive one, but the combination of Zarya and D.Va is more effective than you think. It's just harder to pull off, because it does have some inbuilt anti-synergy if you accidentally use Defense Matrix to block when Zarya wants to get charged. But other than that, this is a good way to break these types of spawn holds, because D.Va can block infinite damage, and Zarya is more than happy to absorb some damage. It isn't accurate to say, I think, that Zarya straight up counters Junkrat, because that's not necessarily true. Junkrat can stay out of the range of Zarya if you're not careful, and especially if you play too tanky of a death ball. Well, Junkrat counters death ball. The only way Zarya counters Junkrat is if you can somehow get the Zarya into position with her charge and keep her alive, but Junkrat can play keep away from the Zarya, so gotta be careful about that. Now, my team somehow lose this first fight, and I think we're going to revisit this concept of how to not lose a fight you're winning. But one really cool thing about the Zarya-D.Va combination is that they have two really good sieging ultimates. And that gets down to the major strategy that you want to go with in order to beat some of these really difficult chokes. Do you want to poke at the choke, or do you want to engage into the choke? Luckily, the Zarya-D.Va combo can do both, actually. If you have teammates that want to stand at the choke and try to win a pick game, heroes that are going to be strong at this are Widow, Hanzo, Bastion, Roadhog. However, with all the barriers and shielding that's going to exist, it's probably going to be nearly impossible to find that kind of opening that's going to be able to get that to work. I don't really suggest you try that. But even in that context, Zarya and D.Va can just build up their ults and then eventually punish the enemy team, who are going to be too far up on the choke, grouped up, and susceptible to be getting wrecked by ultimates. Some characters that I don't advise you utilize against heavy choke spam comps would be Reinhardt and Winston. And you might think, well, yeah, but they have barriers to block damage, right? I want to get my damage blocked medal really high. Well, unfortunately, gone are since the days where barriers are really good at blocking damage. There's just too much relevant damage in the game for that to be a viable strategy. They get shredded before long. And if you don't have your barrier, you're not very great as either tank. Although Winston can dive in and duel something that can be good, he also can easily be focused. Whereas characters like D.Va and Zarya actually can brawl in the choke longer. In truth, the barriers of Reinhardt and Winston are better at blocking off sight lines, not necessarily just absorbing damage per se. It's much stronger for a Winston bubble to block an Ana sightline or Soldier sightline than it is to be expected to block off Junkrat damage. Not really a thing. And on the DPS side of things, there's no point to play McCree into spam. Spam wrecks Death Ball, so anything that wants to move slowly together is just going to lose the damage exchange at range. Junkrat can hide from a distance and spam towards the McCree. McCree needs a sightline to be able to even see him to duel him. Not a very good pick. Pharmacy, Hanzo, Widowmaker, Genji, Tracer either play further away from the spam or can get past the spam. And a character like Soldier is going to perform really bad at the choke, but if you can get him past the choke and set up at range, these spam comps don't have dive. Typically. Otherwise, their team comp's probably a bit unbalanced if they do. Keeping that far-ranged presence alive can win out the war of attrition from range. On Eichenwald, far is amazing. On Volskaya, if you can get past the choke, Soldier has some amazing high grounds he can take. It all depends on your success rate at engaging past the choke or poking at the choke. Soldier's terrible at poking at the choke because there's just too much barriers and better spam coming his way. You just won't win the range damage spam. But if you get him into position, then he's sick. And I'm sure many of you have been in games where you realize that the enemy's setting up in sort of this suffocating choke hold where you feel you can't even really get anywhere. And I think the important thing to note is how to be patient with your ult economy. Now on this fight, it's very key that I charge up my sound barrier, but after the enemy Pharah gets a flank with her barrage and the enemy drops a nano boost, I identify this as an overcommitment by them quickly and don't try to clutch out a losing fight. I can't stress this enough. The biggest mistake you can make against any really well-constructed team comp is to try to win a fight that you don't really deserve to win. It can be hard to realize this and see the kill feed and get accustomed to doing this, but it really is one of the higher macro strategy skill sets in Overwatch. Being able to decide, no, it's not really worth it even if we get a kill or two with our sound barrier after they got some kills and pop nano. It's more than likely just going to stalemate this engagement. You hold on to it for the next fight, and although it is a bit unfortunate that we end up popping both support ults at once, that's kind of a mistake. But in general, using powerful ultimates at the choke will really punish and break off these choke defenses. The Mei wall here was pretty insane. The sound barrier keeps us alive from the earth shatter. And before you know it, we're off to the races. And that's the way these engagements work, really. They're all or nothing. They look like they're really strong, but in fact, with the few small plays that you can make that either crack them wide open, either using certain resources, ultimates, or just taking the proper ground can just be enough. Now, I mentioned earlier that we were going to talk about probably the most important aspect of beating these types of comps, and that is to sustain your life. Can't stress this enough. It's one of the biggest mistakes I see in matchmaking, and I'll show you the first example again, which was a team fight we sadly should have won. We are way up, playing this kind of comp. All you have to do is keep the Zarya alive, and she'll carry the end of the fight. Nothing can fight her, just keep her alive and don't die yourself, and you'll be fine. We win the start of the fight, but with a retake, respawn coming in, as well as a mercy res, we don't protect our backline good enough, and somehow we allow Reinhardt's hammer to get a kill on our Lucio. Support players, look out for this. Don't think you have to take the objective right away. You have to win the team fight above all else. So you see that Rein coming at you, you have to peel back. If our Lucio peeled back for our Mercy and healed her when the Junkrat was diving our backline and ignored the objective so that we could sustain on the fight, we could have won that fight. But instead, we don't even get a tick out of a fight where we were heavily favored. What I'm describing is called a disengage, and it's probably one of the most important things that you can add to your Overwatch skill set, and it will really help you beat these Symmetra, Mercy, come back to life style comps that don't give you the respawn advantage you're used to having on attacking these first points. I'll show an example of how I did this playing as Winston. I had no idea they were playing a Mei, but as it turns out, I accidentally countered the Mei wall. And here, I'm not too overly eager to dive their backline too early in the fight. Mercy's not going to have res anyway. And I don't really want to split off from being able to support my team. However, when I am able to re-engage, we keep brawling it out, and I trade my life for the Mercy. Now, this is the least you can get for trading your life. Ideally, I would like to survive, but I know this is going to give us the sustain advantage. Brawling out the point, we are able to get a tick, but things are starting to get hairy. Very complicated mid-fight, the retake's coming in, my teammates are sniping from a ranged angle, they drop Mei ult, and I don't overstay my welcome. Running out of the fight in order to reconvene with where my team is. Remember, I have a Widowmaker, right? And in general, this is sort of synergizing with a ranged DPS 101. Overdiving when you have a ranged DPS on your team likely is an overcommitment because they're not next to you to be able to easily focus fire the thing at close range. You kind of have to wait for the ranged character to hit shots. You don't need an over-engagement from your tank in that situation, you just need them to stay alive so that they have the flexibility to flow in and out of the fight. Be satisfied with the ground that you have and win the fight slowly. Don't ever feel that you have to get kills quickly against these really static comps. This goes for Orisa Torb, Symmetra, Junkrat spamming, all that kind of stuff. They're going to look weakest once you get the better ground, wherever that is, and sustain it. They want you to over-aggress into their comps, because oftentimes these comps have Symmetra and Mercy anyway, meaning that on attack, you no longer have that respawn advantage you used to be able to lean on. Now you have to play it better as if you're beating a point B defense where their spawn's right next door. It helps, of course, to communicate with your D.Va Zarya combo, because you will want the D.Va to aggress a bit, to bait out shooting the bubbles for charge. But even if you don't have communication as the D.Va player, just be sure to look out for when the bubble surrounds you. It makes a sound effect and also has a slight blur on the sides of your screen. Utilize that to extend a little bit, but as you notice, in this fight where we eventually win it, we don't do it by over-engaging. What I mean by that is, if a character runs away and they're safe and they're going to be at an advantage if I keep chasing them, I don't chase them. I back out of that little mini skirmish, re-engage, and we eventually poke and whittle the enemy down. Keeping in mind that Zarya is a late fight carry. having a lot of charge wins fights for free. It's for this reason why I actually like the D.Va here and not the Winston, because Winston kind of does have to find those moments where he can pick out a character to maybe have to trade his life for them. But that's not really what you need to do. You just need to sustain more numbers on your side, keep yourself and your team alive, whether you're the support player or the D.Va player in this situation, and prop up your range damage. Roadhog kind of works in this situation too, eventually just getting more hooks. You can think Doomfist could close out a fight like this. A lot of these team fights that are either cooldown based or late fight based, just playing smarter with man advantage, you eventually can't lose if you play smart enough. Okay, I hope that wasn't too much to digest. I packed a lot into today's video, so please let me know if it was either too much, not enough, things you're still confused about, strategies and characters that you're still struggling with in Season 6. Let me know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. It really does help us out, lets us know that you're enjoying the content. If you haven't already, please subscribe because we upload each and every day. So you can hit the bell icon so that you get notified when our videos go live. Link in the description, you can check out our Twitter, where we tweet out news, updates, and dank memes, as well as our Destiny 2 channel. If you're a fellow Guardian, hit the subscribe button over there as well. That's been it for me. I've been FREEDO for Your Overwatch. I'll see you guys next time.